All right, hey, and following up on the last video, we're going to bring Royal Lee's work back to life. Again, he's the founder of Standard Process, a nutritional genius and pioneer over 100 years ago. And he had a lot to say about various health conditions and supplements and nutrition protocols to help these things. So today we're going to go over a very common condition that I see in most of my digestive patients, which is called hypochlorhydria, which is insufficient stomach acid. And as I explain to my patients, your entire digestive system is a long conveyor belt that takes food from one end to the other end. And during that journey, it goes through a series of digestion, breakdown, absorption, and ultimately elimination via the various organs, glands, bowels, and tissues working on that food. Now, for every section of your GI system to function normally, the previous section has to function normally. And after we chew our food and swallow it, the very first place the food drops down into is the stomach. So, in a way, the stomach sets the tone for the entire rest of the digestive system. In fact, for your pancreas and your gallbladder to work correctly, you have to have appropriate stomach acidity. Very rarely, I would say almost never, does a patient actually have too much stomach acid like we see in the commercials. That doesn't exist in nature. It doesn't exist in reality. God didn't make a stomach that just fills up with too much acid and then you got to neutralize it with antacids or PPI medications. The exact opposite is true, is that low stomach acid leads to all the conditions of heartburn, GERD, acid reflux, and gastritis. Your stomach is pH dependent, meaning the acidity of your stomach depends on how well the sphincters close. So like your esophagus and the lower sphincter. If they don't close tightly, it's because you don't have enough acid. Those things are pH regulated. And if we can't get the pH low enough, meaning adequate stomach acid, they're not going to close tightly. And in those scenarios, even a little bit of acid, if you're deficient, will still reflux and regurgitate back up into the esophagus, where you can have pain, you can have a feeling of getting full easily, you can have heart palpitations and things like that. So the answer to stomach-based issues, we're going to see the answer to indigestion, numerous digestive issues, is to support your stomach's acidity, to do what sounds counterintuitive. And we're going to go over how to do that in a product here today. Interesting story recently. I'm working with a patient who's been on PPIs his entire life, omeprazole, pantoprazole, and despite that, still has terrible pain, has to take these things daily. He rates his pain at about a 9 or a 10 out of 10 on a daily basis. And working with me, I said, we're going to do what sounds counterintuitive. Rather than suppressing acid, we're going to provide your stomach with what it's been missing all these years. And of course, there's more to it. It also involves nutrition changes, lifestyle changes for this patient. But we gave him more acid. And in only 1 month, 30 days, he's off of his PPI medications, and his pain went from a 9 out of 10 to a 1 out of 10 some days. Some days he has no pain. So this is the same approach we did with him. Again, this work is from Royal Lee over 100 years ago, and it's talking about how to correct low stomach acid called hypochlorhydria. Now, the product he used mainly is called betaine hydrochloride, and he says that this acts as a digestive catalyst to improve digestion and assimilation, meaning absorption of your food, by control of putrefaction and promotion of absorption of protein, calcium, and iron. So it stops the food rotting from insufficient breakdown. It promotes better assimilation of your nutrients. And specifically, some of these nutrients like protein, calcium, and iron, I would also put zinc and magnesium in there, are very stomach acid dependent. What are predisposing factors he lists here that predispose people who need more stomach acid support? Well, if you have a salt-free diet, you will be low in stomach acid because you need chloride, which you get from salt. Hydrochloric acid is made from chloride, and we get chloride from salt. If you eat a salt-free diet, you will eventually become deficient in chloride and not able to produce stomach acid. Anyone who uses excess alkalizers or antacids, PPI medications, anybody that has hydrochloric acid loss from long-standing hyperacidity. So if your body is just very acidic and it steals hydrogen ions from the acid in the stomach, you will have low stomach acidity there. Anybody who has increased metabolic demands, if you're pregnant, anyone who ages. In fact, after the age of 60, everybody needs some support with stomach acid, which is why in the old days, people would eat more organs because tripe and intestines, they don't sound fun to eat today, but they would energetically and nutritionally support the corresponding organs in our bodies, and our ancestors knew that. So as we age, anybody that has any just congenital weaknesses, women that get pregnant need extra support. And here's a huge one today. He called this nervous tension 100 years ago. We call it chronic stress today. If you are under stress, believe me, it shuts down your entire body, but it mostly shuts down your digestive system, and it turns off stomach acidity. He lists common clinical situations. Patients complain of lower bowel gas, feeling full after meals or not having too much of an appetite, constipation, sometimes alternating with diarrhea, loss of a taste for food, specifically loss of a taste for meat because your body intuitively knows it can't break it down, snacking all the time, eating when you're not hungry, like smaller carb-based meals is what I'm getting at here. Symptoms usually that occur several hours after eating, but in severe cases may just be continuous. This would be things like indigestion, people who are emaciated, a lot of allergies. Both environmental and food allergies are caused by insufficient breakdown of food. You're always going to respond negatively to undigested food moving through your body. And if we break down the food optimally, then you're going to more completely digest that food and also have an immune system tolerance to it. So, okay, Royal Lee had a test here you could use with this product called betaine HCl. I will pull that up in a minute here. I'll pull up the product here in a minute. The therapeutic test this is the therapeutic test. He said this is the most practical means in determining a patient's hydrochloric acid levels, stomach acid levels. When this test is applied in situations as qualified by the clinical symptoms given above, the probability is that the patient will prove to be deficient in hydrochloric acid. So the procedure is you get this supplement in and you take 2 tablets of betaine HCl after your evening meal. I would say any meal's fine. He also says, or just do it whenever protein is eaten. So you could do it after an evening meal. I don't care if it's lunchtime. Have a protein like chicken, fish. I don't really recommend pork, but you could put pork in there, poultry, whatever it is. You're going to have some red meat or some type of protein and take 2 of these tablets per meal. It says this is generally sufficient to show an indication in a day or 2. In most cases, this will be described as a favorable response, which we'll read below. However, there's some reactions that may occur. These reactions are not serious in nature, and they also have specific diagnostic values. They can tell us a lot about what's going on in your body based upon how you respond to this. So what is the favorable response? The favorable response is that if you take betaine HCl and it increases the amount of time after eating where your gastrointestinal symptoms occur, then that's a good thing. Meaning, let's say you eat and you typically get indigestion an hour or 2 after a meal, but now you get that indigestion 3 or 4 hours after a meal. That's a positive sign that you need that support. You likely need more support, but that betaine hydrochloric acid was enough to support your gut and push those symptoms further out. Now, it doesn't mean that things have been solved. It means that we were able to find a positive correlation between this improving your symptoms. So then it's your job to begin increasing this tablet per meal daily. So you can begin taking 2 of these per meal. If that helps, but it doesn't resolve the issues, take 3 of them per meal, begin 4 of them per meal. Some people get up to 5 or 6 of these things per meal, not for life, but to restore the normal physiology to your stomach. Now, he does list 4 types of reactions here. We'll go over these quickly. In some people, they have lost their mucosal lining to the stomach that helps to tolerate stomach acid. You've probably heard of the saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. Well, if we have appropriate stomach acid, that makes the body have to build a thick mucosal barrier between the delicate underlying tissue of the stomach and that acid. The mucosal barrier is thick and holds all that acid in. In people that are constantly suppressing their stomach acid, especially with PPI medications, and we're always lowering down acidity, well, there's no longer a need for that mucosal barrier. It literally begins to atrophy and wither away. And as such now, some of your delicate underlying tissues in your stomach are exposed. In those cases, he calls this irritation to the inflamed mucosa. He says, in this case, there will be an immediate burning sensation, but the fullness or bloating feeling will not be increased. This reaction is distinct and is an indication for more healing that needs to occur. I'll do future videos on these, but he talks about 4 other products called chlorophyll, ochrapepsin, calcifood, and acarbamide. We'll do future videos on those products, which are needed to heal the delicate mucosal lining. So I'm going to go to the betaine page. Look, like anything, there's usually not one supplement that's a miracle that fixes all things. This is about testing, listening to your own body, using intuition, working with someone who has clinical knowledge about these things, and then working out what's the best roadmap for you. So for each one of these health conditions, like this one, hypochlorhydria, he does list synergistic products. So sometimes a person needs extra chloride. Sometimes they have liver issues along with it. Sometimes there's pancreatic issues along with this, or their gallbladder issues. And so depending on the individual case, there may be other products to use. Now with betaine hydrochloride, I want to read some of what he wrote about this product here too. Symptoms for this are, we covered some of these, whenever there's a loss of a taste for meat, appetite changes, feeling full easily, malassimilation, meaning you can't digest protein, calcium, or iron. If you have anemia or low calcium, osteopenia issues, osteoporosis, muscle cramping, or signs of that. If you have a lot of gas, especially lower bowel gas, if you eat and get full easily, if you have indigestion after eating, if you have a history of vomiting or diarrhea, you lose chloride that way, and you likely need extra hydrochloric acid support, and demineralization. So if you have, what's demineralization? Bone loss. If you have teeth issues, oral issues, if you have osteopenia or osteoporosis, that's a sign that you need to better absorb your protein and iron and calcium, and likely that's coming from low stomach acidity. All right, one thing I want to scroll down to and point out here is that he talks about the importance of the dose. So he says symptomatic response is the criterion of the level required, meaning how your symptoms respond to taking this determines the dose that you need. This should be regulated to the time of indigestion of symptoms. Like we said before, if you have symptoms that occur and they are fixed or delayed, it means that this is working for you, but you may need to take a higher dose. Here's what he says. It's the number of tablets per meal, not per day, which is important. Thus, 3 tablets with an evening meal, for example, may produce appreciable results, whereas 3 tablets taken per day, there may not be anything discernible. So the way I liken this is that your stomach pH has to be between a 1.5 to a 3. Many people are much more alkaline. They're like a 3.5, 4.5, 5. And if you take some of these betaine HCLs and it lowers down your pH, let's say you go from a 5 to a 4, but we still don't get beneath that 3 threshold, 1.5 to a 3 pH, which is very acidic, you might notice a little bit of improvement, but it's not enough to resolve your symptoms. And that's why you have to take these things per meal and increase the dose per meal until you're able to work this out for yourself, what dose is most appropriate for your case. Lastly here, we're going to go into some of these other products in future videos that help organs beyond the stomach. So it says the primary indication for betaine hydrochloric acid tablets is diminished gastric secretions. That's low stomach acid. When a favorable response is obtained from this product, it should lead the clinician to investigate possibilities of diminished secretions in the pancreas and the liver. So he then goes on to list other products like pancreatrophin, like Zypan, like Colical, that can also aid the other organs that are responsible for breaking down your food. All right, so we're inside of Fullscript. This is the betaine hydrochloride supplement from Standard Process. Fullscript, if you're familiar with them, they're the biggest supplement website in the world, where they partner with all the largest companies like Standard Process, where you can order supplements and products and vitamins that you already use and love directly to your front door. I'll be in a second going over how to create your Fullscript account so that you can order this and go ahead and get started supporting your digestion. So thanks a lot for watching. I will see you in the next video. Have a great day. All right, hey, if you'd like to order the products discussed in the video today, I'm going to teach you how to open up your own Fullscript account. Fullscript is a website that partners with all the biggest supplement companies, brands that you already likely use and love, and brings them all under one roof, where practitioners like me can give recommendations for patients for meaningful products for their case, and where you can already on your own just go and search their catalog and order these things directly to your front door. So I will have a link for this beneath the video that you're watching. It will bring you to this page where you create a Fullscript account under this dispensary, and you simply enter in your name and email address and create your own profile. Next, it will bring you to the home page of the website. And this is a catalog where you can search via health conditions, you can search for individual products, and you can search via companies and brands that you already use and love. So we will go and just do a quick example of this. Betaine HCl is a product that I use for many patients and use for a lot of digestive issues. And so if you search for like Betaine HCl, it'll show you all the various companies that carry this product. My own personal favorite is Standard Process. If we go back up to the top, you can also search via brand. So some of the bigger ones here like Designs for Health, Thorne, Microbiome Labs, you can just directly click on that. If you don't see the brand you're looking for, simply click See All Brands, and I'm going to go to the letter S for Standard Process. And when you do it this way, now instead of one supplement, you'll see all the products that that company carries. So hey, whenever you create your account, you'll automatically be added into the email list here. Your user information is never shared, but every year we offer numerous sales where you can save a lot on these supplements, and whenever these sales are going on, you will receive a notification so that you can stock up and order your products and save money. So hey, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.